Good morning, everybody. Excuse me. Jeez, I'm Larry Jacobs. This is my voice is a little squeaky there. Let's start over. Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. Thanks for listening today, May 9th, 2023. It's a pleasure to have you here. Be speaking to you today, or perhaps you're listening on the archives, and it's the nature of a podcast. You can listen on the archives. We archive everything over at ace-ed.org. That's the home of every podcast we've ever done here on Education Talk Radio. All right, it's over at ace-ed.org. Okay, that's the home website of our American Consortium for Equity in Education. We have our magazine over there, which is called Equity and Access. And I want to remind everybody that everything we do over there is free, so please go over and check it out. Our Equity Awards have reopened for nominations. Please go over. You'll see an awards category link. Just please click on that. We'd love to have you as educators. You nominate your colleague. You can nominate yourself, nominate your colleagues, nominate your school, nominate the experts in the field, nominate companies you work with, et cetera, et cetera. If you are a company in education, please check out what we're doing. You can be nominated as well. Hopefully, as all of you will be winning, okay, an equity awards for the folks who do such a solid job in making equity a reality in education. We're very proud of this, and it's over at ace-ed.org. The early bird special is now available for those of you who want to nominate, okay, for an equity award. So please go do so. I've got Randi ECONOMOU here. Randi is a good friend of ours. She's the president of Capstone Publishing. And Randi, are you there?
Good morning, Larry. I'm glad I'm here. I was doing something very important this morning, and I didn't want to be late. So I am here, and I'm happy to be with you. Good morning.
It's a pleasure it's always a pleasure to have you here. Are you on a speakerphone by any chance?
I am. Is that not coming through well?
It's not coming through as well as it should, and the only reason I'm saying that, I can make my sound louder here, but I want to make sure that everybody can hear every single word you're saying.
Well, I appreciate that. I need to make every single word count then. Is this better, Larry? I'm not on the phone anymore.
Thank you, Randi.
Good.
That's
Thank
good.
You
I can usually pick that up pretty quick. I want to tell everybody capstonepub.com or pebblego.com are places you'll go. You'll understand those in just a few seconds if you want to learn more about the company that Randi runs with a great team of colleagues and friends and professionals. Tell us about Capstone, Randi. And by the way, Randi is one of the excellent female leaders in education. I always like to say this. There are a lot of women who are at the top level of the education industry. Not enough, but a lot. Okay, Randi's one of the superstars in that particular category. All right, she's a great guest here, and she runs a wonderful company. But the point is, education is a largely female occupation, and it's time, certainly beyond time, that we had great female leadership in the industry, and we do, and Randi's a shining example of that. You may now proceed, Ms. ECONOMOU.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry. Well, to tell you a little bit about Capstone, I really want to start with our purpose. And really our purpose and what we focus on every day is to make learning fun for all children. And we really, really believe that learning is for everyone. And we have been a publisher for 30 years, over 30 years, a trusted publisher in education. And we publish print and digital titles. And we also have a beloved hub of content called PebbleGo that helps children around the nation with some of their very early research skills and helps them fall in love with learning. We're in about 30% of schools with PebbleGo and 100% of elementary schools with our books. And we appreciate the trust that educators have. I thought you were going to ask me what I was doing this morning that was special, Larry, because it was a really special day in our house. Do you want to hear about it?
What is? And so Randi, is anything going on special today?
Annie, I thought you would never ask, Larry. So it's Teacher Appreciation Week this week.
Thank you for your patience. You're going to say that again, but thank you for your patience in that regard. So what is special today in the ECONOMOU household? What's going on?
Well, I will tell you that teachers are special today and every day, but today is this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and my little daughter, Emma, loves her teacher so much, and so every day we get a little something ready with a with a sweet note to send to our teachers to thank them for the impact they've made on their life. And today we gave adult coloring books, maybe you color, Larry, but adult coloring books that have amazing infographics with some colored pencils. And Emma was so excited that it took us a long time to wrap them, and I was worried I was going to be late, but I made it.
You're not late. You're not late. You're ready to find the You're obviously in Arizona today, right? Right.
Yes, in Arizona.
What time is it? What is it? 7:30 there?
Well, it's 7:35 in Arizona, but I've had coffee, and I always get up and ready to talk to Larry, and I really love these times.
Yes, thank you for being here, and thank you for appreciating teachers. I was saying yesterday on the show, it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we should just designate 1 week a year, not particularly Teacher Appreciation Week, and every other week should be 51 weeks should be Teacher Appreciation Week. Okay,
I agree with you.
I tell you, it's so amazing, and the other thing, and it just fits into all this. Teachers are thinking of leaving the profession. The pipeline is less and less. We really have to appreciate these incredible professionals all year long for what they do. Okay, and they proved that during the pandemic. And I know scores dropped a little bit, but can't help that. They went above and beyond, during the pandemic to try to get kids to keep learning and keep reading and all that sort of thing. And, you just can't say enough good about teachers these days. I really mean it, and I hope that carries so that more and more people think about going into the profession, which is something that we really, really need these days. Thank you, Randi, for bringing that up.
We really do.
Yeah, we do. It's hard out there.
We really do.
And actually brings up an interesting point. Companies like Capstone, things are changing out there. Okay, and you guys are well aware of this. Okay, and your products are reflecting all the necessary needs, etc. that a changing occupation needs. It's really good stuff what you guys are doing out there, and I'm always impressed with that. And we're talking today. I want to swing into this. Although it's always summer in Arizona, but not here in Maine. Okay, summer's just beginning here.
I get it.
And I want to talk about summer reading. And, this was interesting. We're going to talk about all the summer reading, but I love this. You wanted me to ask you, and I think this is great. What's the difference between summer reading and reading, okay, and the other 3 seasons, okay, which I think is a great question to start off with here. All right, the difference between summer reading, okay, like reading on the beach, the really low rent novel, okay, and reading every other season. Go ahead, Randi. Talk about it for kids.
Wow, we have huge opportunities in the summer to move the needle because summer slide can be defined by the summers where kids stay away from their buildings and they have summer learning loss. And what's so neat about the summer is kids have a huge opportunity, a lot of room in the summer to have more choice about what they read, right? I mean, we forget sometimes that when children are in school and they're busy with their curriculum and they're busy with what they're, doing all year long at home, they really don't have as much freedom as they do in the summer. And kids really don't have a ton of choice about what they're reading and even when they're reading. And yet, and we understand that. We understand that has to happen. But, so much of what happens during the school year is reading that's assigned. And even reading that's for pleasure during the school year can be something that, needs to be restricted to grade level ranges for good reason, right? Sometimes graphic novels aren't a thing, and sometimes audio books aren't a choice. And yet I think it's about 92% of students say that they are more likely to read a book that they choose themselves than a book that they don't choose. And, 70% of children who report enjoying summer reading enjoy it precisely because they have the freedom to read what they want when they want.
Yeah.
And, summer is just a wonderful time for families to read together and students to read together. And we know that there are so many statistics that say, if a child reads 6 to 8 books in the summer, we can totally mitigate summer slide. And so summer reading is a time where kids can choose and relax and grow and and just fall in love with reading. What's better than that? That's what we work on every day at Capstone, is to get kids to fall in love with reading, because we know it changes their lives.
It really does. I never heard that statistic before. If a child, let me get this straight, if a child reads 5 or 6, 7 books over the summer, which is easy to do, by the way, okay?
Right.
Literally, no pun intended, literally the summer slide in reading, et cetera, would go away? Is that accurate?
Yes. As long as they're reading something that they're interested in reading, that's at their reading level, so something they choose at their reading level, 6 to 8 books. That's by John S. Kim out of Harvard. And that is
I never knew
something that, yes, I want every parent to know that. I want every teacher to know that. They work so hard. Teachers work so hard all year long to move students forward. And if they can, the motivators of learning can encourage their students to read in the summer, to read 6 books that they choose that are at their level, 6 to 8 books, we can mitigate. We can knock it out. Summer learning slide. Summer learning.
We really can. Yeah. I had a picture when you just said that about teachers moving the needle of Sisyphus, the Greek mythological figure pushing the rock up the hill, and at night it rolls back down. Okay, you have to push it up again the next day, and it's the same thing with reading. Okay, teachers, when you just said it, teachers work so hard all year long, and then summer hits, and that rock rolls down the hill. Not all the way down the hill, but it does roll down the hill. Okay, and all of a sudden, that teacher the next year is starting, and we can change that rock into 7 books, and it goes up the hill, and will roll down the other side. Okay, all on its own with no need to push it back up. Okay, and it's just something we really have to understand. And there's another interesting side of this. What ages, when you say that, what ages are we talking about? And this I don't know. Is there a summer slide? And I've never heard this in like secondary school with reading, or are we talking about the youngest possible kids? Where are we on that scale in terms of summer reading? Who really should? Where's the sweet spot? That sort of thing. What grade levels are we talking about?
It's really all children, but kids start, and I should clarify that, Larry. I mean, children that are in the lowest SES neighborhoods that maybe don't have access to print in the home. Yeah, those are the children that we're targeting, because they lose the most ground, because sometimes they live in print-free zones, or they have circumstances that don't allow them access to read at home. But then there's so much research that talks about, it just piles on. So it starts at the early age, and the learning loss and the gap and the literacy divide just piles on over the years, and it just keeps compounding. And so, I shared with you before that I taught 9th grade, and I chose 9th grade because, it's a year that students decide if they're going to stay or go in high school. And yet I realize indicators of that have to do with how much ground they've lost, how far behind they are, and it compounds every single year. So it's difficult to answer the question. The early years are super important, so that compounding effect will be less and less. But every year, it's important to read and learn and stay sharp with what's going on.
Rand, maybe you know this. I don't know the answer. And this is a weird little question. When do kids really start to love reading? I mean, when they're first learning it, this whole new world opens up, and, oh, man, I can read stuff. Is that the point when they're, I'll say, 4 years old or so? Or is it when they're like in 3rd and 4th grade and they really can read now? And they can actually read a real book with a story that's long and all that sort of thing. All right? Where's the love of reading start? I don't know the answer.
I bet you don't know the answer, because I am absolutely positive it's different for every child. And yet we were just speaking about teachers and librarians that really inspire a love of reading. They really, really lead the way. And, you think of a child that learns to read early, and then they become these voracious consumers of content because they want to read everything that they can read and see. And, those are children that maybe have a natural propensity to fall in love with reading. And yet there are struggling readers and reluctant readers and readers that, are just behind, and they really struggle. And so their love of reading could come a lot later. But I know time and time again, there's so much that goes on that has to do with a teacher or a librarian or an adult in a child's life that's modeling reading, that's talking about reading, that's talking about what you can do. But children that, there are adults out here that don't love to read, and, children that learn to have anxiety or stress or struggles in their reading are likely children that fall behind. They're not learning to read so that they can successfully read to learn. And you're right, third grade is the year that generally and on average happens, but I think it happens at different times for different people. And, especially when we think about all of the, the diverse needs of students and their journey when it comes to reading, it happens at different times for different children. But these teachers that we're honoring this week and the other 51 weeks a year, I hope, have such a role to play. And so do parents. I mean, when I used to have open house, I would beg my parents to model reading in their home, to stare at a newspaper or a cereal box or whatever they could do to read in front of their children, to model it, because it's an example of an adult, someone who gets excited about reading. It really is. So I didn't answer your question directly, but it's
you did. You
answered
it well. Yeah, you answered it well, and it's a really important thing that we have to understand. You brought up, I remember when I was a little kid, my father wasn't much of a reader, okay? He read the newspaper, all right? So I got into reading the newspaper. My mother was the book reader in the family. We didn't have a lot of books. We went to the library a lot. And, that was kind of my example that I want to read, okay? I was watching my mother always reading a novel all the time. She always had a book in the house, okay? And that to me was important. That was something that I started to copy as a young kid. That is really, really, really important. And you brought up something else. I know it's Teacher Appreciation Week, but you brought up librarians. And I'm thinking school librarians. How important are they, okay, in getting kids to read in the summer? Where's that going? I know you're going to be loving this, so go for it, Randi.
I am in love with the question. Yes, I mean the literacy leaders, the champions of learning and reading and growing that our librarians around the nation are representing for children can make such a huge difference. And so often librarians create summer reading programs and summer reading choice boards that make it easy for students to read. They're as much as our librarians love books, and they are true bibliophiles, they love children more. And often librarians around the nation will lend books to students in the summer. They'll send information and really fun learning activities home. They'll make it possible for students to read in the summer and choose books that will inspire their learning and inspire their growth. What's difficult is there are still states out there, because of the funding situation, that don't have librarians in every school. Yep. And so that's when it's important for, partners in education to make learning opportunities available in the summer. And we take that very, very seriously at Capstone. We want to help every child read. I mean, we feel like if you can put a man on the moon, you can get children to read between 6 and 8 books in the summer, and think of all the solutions that would bring to children, right? Enhance and change their lives forever. But librarians have a tremendous role to play. They really do.
They really, really do. It's just amazing. I always think back. I think I might have told you this when I was a little kid, post-war America. Okay. That was not the Civil War, by the way. That's World War II. Okay. When I was a little kid, yours truly, the baby boomer. Okay. There was a brand new, huge school in my neighborhood in Philadelphia. Beautiful school. I went there grades kindergarten through 6. All right. And they had a brand new school, and they had a huge library, but they didn't have a librarian. The teachers kind of ran it. Okay, when I think back on that, we didn't even know there was such a thing when I was a little kid as a school librarian. Okay, but when we got to junior high, okay, then there was which was a much bigger school. There was a real librarian who we really depended on. I can't say enough for school librarians. Okay, they are so important, and it brings up that whole question. We're the American Consortium for Equity here. We believe in equity, and we got to have kids. And you said this before. I work with a lady named Molly Ness, Dr. Molly Ness. I don't know if you know Molly. Okay, do you know her, Randy, by any chance?
I don't know Molly. I don't. It sounds like great. I want to, though. What are you going to say?
You should.
Yep, let me hear. Yep.
I know, and the reason she runs a nonprofit, and she also does a podcast called End Book Deserts. Okay, and there, we've all heard of food deserts. Well, there are book deserts in America, if you can believe this, where kids do not have access to books all summer long. Okay, and that's an equity question. And we assume, well, everybody can afford to download a book on their phone. No, they can't. Everybody can go to the local bookstore. Well, there aren't a lot of local bookstores anymore. Okay? And there's not the branch. If you live in rural America, okay, there may not be a big library, okay, that really gives you access for a long distance away. Okay? It's hard. It's an equity question, and if we don't handle it properly, all right, you lose kids. Okay, that summer slide plays in again because those kids are going to go back to school too, And just talk about that, Randy. I know you're interested in this. Is summer reading and equity, okay? And I hope librarians in schools, kids coming in the last week of school, and everybody take 3 books home or 5 books home for the summer. And you can trade them, et cetera, and just bring them back when school begins. I don't know. Talk about equity in summer reading. Randy.
Oh, my goodness. So
go
really,
on. Yeah, right.
The main predictor of successful summer reading is it's pretty simple to think about, but it's having access to books. Some of it is having parents and families and people that inspire students to read and help them understand how important it is. But the biggest thing is having access to books. And so there are things that schools can do. And you talked about our librarians who, unlock the magic of learning for students and reading for students, and they can help students take books home. And that's not always scalable, though. I believe that, schools can help families by reminding them of some of the no or low cost options there are available, like in the public libraries and some of the schools that have digital resources that can go home, reminding students how to log in, how to find access. So it's about, because the books are out there where students can log in even if they have a mobile device, and the research shows that families have access to some smartphones, and there are ways to get through this access point. I'll tell you that Capstone takes it very seriously. We have,
I know you do,
print and digital resources, and we have a website that's up that we're trying to share with all of our librarians and all of our teachers. It's out there and it's ready for them, and it not only provides access to our resources, but there are some choice boards by Shannon Miller, who many librarians follow. Shannon, because she's such a rock star for students, and we've got letters home to families that model, and they're in English and Spanish, that model how important it is to read, and we have calendars with questions of the day and suggestions of books to read. But the bottom line is, I think librarians, educators, if there's not a librarian in the building, can figure out in their community what's available and motivate kids to find it and read. And there are so many well-meaning people that make summer reading available and possible. And sometimes that's going to your local Boys and Girls Club or your local public library, which, when we think of kids in rural America, that's not as easy to find either. And so those educators have to be more and more creative. But access to books and making sure that parents know how to get their children reading and why it's important. I hope every school in America sends some kind of letter home in the report card packet this summer, giving parents direction about how to find access to materials in the summer and why it's important to read. And that would be a big start. But if they don't have access, they can't really read, can they, Larry? So
no, they
getting
can't.
Kids access. Yeah, and getting kids access to books they enjoy and they want to read and they want to self-select.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all possible, right?
You know,
they don't maybe want to read what's laying around for their parents to read, right?
Yeah, and in the schools, I mean, the schools and libraries let books out for the summer, even if they're closed. Do you know any schools that do that?
I do. I know a lot of schools that do that.
How's that work?
Take a huge. Not every school. I mean, it really depends on the school. But I know schools that do that far and wide. That encourage kids to come and check books out and return them back. And some of the schools open in the summer to let them come and trade books. And if schools can't do that, because there are a lot of reasons why certain schools may not find that as an option. And so if that's not an option for schools, really trying to tie into one of these summer programs that, Capstone or other partners, we will not say no to any district that needs help with the summer. And so, finding a program that will be helpful for to use for those couple of months in the summer.
Exactly.
It's so important.
It is so important.
It really is. But a lot of books, but even some of the books or some of the schools they know how important, educators know how important this is. And so they'll send books home with kids in the summer that are theirs to keep. And all of, there are financial parameters to all of that. But I am so impressed and so inspired by the amount of focus that goes into summer reading in every school and every program.
It has to be. And, I've gone for this for years, the whole idea of the 2 months off for summer vacation. Okay. And every teacher in the world is going to get mad at me for saying this. We got to change that. Okay, and a lot of districts they go to it all year round. They take off at different times of the year, okay, for shorter times, etc. To me, that's important. That summer can be for learning too, and we got to make sure that people understand that. All right, and everybody in the world is now mad at me, Randi. Okay, but I just think it's something that started 200 years ago, and we got to really look at changing that. Okay, and the first step in changing it, and this is important for what you guys do, is to understand. Yeah, and if people do, they understand the summer slide. We have to stop that. So we have to build in to the May-June curriculum in schools what these kids are going to be doing over the summer. Okay, what they're going to be reading over the summer. We can't just let it go. If you let it go, you're going to pay the price at the end, and that's one of the challenges we have. Okay, is making sure that kids understand this. They have work to do over the summer, okay, when they're coming back to school, etc. And I love you always ask me, I'm going to ask you, what are you reading this summer, Randi? Randi ECONOMOU.
Wow.
The Big Book of Vomit? Randi, the Big Book of Vomit? Is that high on the list?
The Pukey Book of Vomit. Emma might like that one. Okay, so if I'm reading by myself, I have a lot of books. I'm a new CEO, and I'm learning a lot every single day, so I have a lot of professional books that I'm going to be reading about strategy and leadership, and I can never get enough of that stuff. But I'll tell you, one of my favorite parts of my job at Capstone is it gives me another way to connect with my daughter, Emma. And we have this new series that I have one of the books in the series, but I'm going to try to get my hands on the rest of the series. But it's called Emma Every Day, and I want to read that series with Emma. I really do, and I think I can find it. Is that a Capstone book?
Emma Every Day?
It's a Capstone book.
And it's called Emma Every Day?
Emma Every Day. And what's special about this book, well, so much. I mean, they got me at the first part of the title, Emma, right? Emma Every Day.
Yeah,
but Emma wears a cochlear implant. She wears a cochlear implant, and this book really just kind of talks about Emma and her everyday life and how she makes friends and, really does amazing things. And it teaches kids some sign language, so it will teach Emma how to sign her name, which is kind of neat. But Emma also loves swimming and the beach, and I hope we can find a way to go read some Capstone books while we're on the beach, if that's possible. We don't live very far; we're a drive away from the beach. But there are.
You live in Arizona. What beach? What beach are you? Wait.
San Diego. So we get to San Diego in about 5. Well, it's 5 hours. If my husband's driving, it takes me 5.5, but that's okay. I like to kind of relax while I'm driving.
I was going to say, where you live, it's all beach. Unfortunately, there's no ocean. Yeah,
that's
it's all beach till you drive 5 hours to the ocean. Yeah.
they close our airports when we reach 120, so we have to find a way to get a reprieve from that. So we'll bundle up a bunch of books and go sit on the beach maybe. But
that's good.
lots
you
that
ever
I
get
want to
over
read
to San
with my
Diego,
sweet
that's
daughter.
terrific. And I love the way you said that, considering you live in Arizona, that the beach, it sounded like the beach was 10 minutes away. Okay, I love the way you said that.
Wish.
Yeah.
That would be my idea of a happy place right there, if I could go 10 minutes and be on the beach. But anyway,
there are plenty of places
beautiful
to go, but you're an Arizona girl, so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
I know it.
That's good.
I
So
get it.
Emma Every Day. That's the book.
Emma Every Day. It is. It's a series actually, and it's a new series by Capstone. And
that's nice.
I know Emma's gonna love it, and I'm gonna love reading it with her. And I will read to Emma every day because I know how important that is. And
how old is Emma? Your Emma. How old is your Emma?
Emma is 8 years old. She's 8.
Okay.
She has a birthday. She'll be 9 on May 22nd. So,
happy birthday,
my beautiful
Emma.
gift.
Wow, that's a big girl.
Thank
Pretty soon
you.
heading into double digits soon next year, Mommy.
I know. And then we got the teenage years. Of course, I understand those years. I taught high school, so.
Well, you're very close to those years yourself. Those teen
years.
Thank
you.
You're welcome,
ever
Rand.
tell you how much? Yeah, I just appreciate you, Larry. You can keep talking like that.
and I appreciate you, Randy. I always do, and I always will.
You.
Okay, this is good stuff.
You so
and
much.
Again, it's CAPSTONEPub.com, and also they have their special stuff at PebbleGo.com. But I just hope teachers and librarians, we got to really get these. We can't lose kids during the summer. It's that simple. And reading is how we measure progress. We got to get kids reading, okay? And have some fun. Emma Every Day. There you go.
Right. All right. I love it.
Thank you, Randy. This was great.
Thank you,
I love
Larry.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Okay?
I love talking to you.
Enjoy
Have
the
a great
rest of your day. It's only 8 in the morning. You got the whole day ahead of you.
I know. The day is young. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
being here so early in your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Rand.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Randi ECONOMOU, and Randi, as I said, is president of Capstone Publishing, a fine company. Okay, CAPSTONEPub.com. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. We'll archive over at ace-ed.org. Please go over there, check out the awards, check out the magazine, listen to some podcasts. It's good stuff, and it's all free. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.